At Mindful TMS Neurocare, we have a treatment plan that includes both TMS and psychotherapy administered simultaneously. Research shows that providing psychotherapy during TMS treatment improves the efficacy of the treatment. We have consistent knowledge sharing sessions between our US clinics and clinics in India to ensure our protocols are in line with the best TMS protocols in the world. At Mindful TMS, we ensure the latest coils are available with us the minute it is released and approved by the US FDA. For instance, we have the newest coil for treating OCD post US FDA approvals. The chair for TMS is essential. We at Mindful TMS have chosen to import the original chair as against fabricating one locally in India.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Vijay Maitri. I'm psychiatrist practicing at Mindful TMS Neurocare, Bangalore. So today I'll be giving a small demonstration about what TMS is about. So this is a typical standard TMS setup, okay? So preferably it's a convenient room, not that crowded, and preferably where there are no other patients. This is a very typical setup which is used for TMS. Now, TMS, the machine per se, has got a few components. This is the couch, okay, on which the client is made to sit comfortably. So the couch can be adjusted as per the person's convenience, as per the person's comfort level. Okay, we can recline it, we can adjust the height. This is the couch. This, what you see over here, this is the main stimulator in which there are all the details of the TMS, including the protocol, settings, and all those things. Apart from this, there are also a couple of components, which is mainly one you can see that it's the liquid which is used to cool the coil so that the coil doesn't get heated up, and then there is another vacuum for the pillow. What you see over is the pillow, so that during the treatment procedure, the person's head and neck is stabilized so that the movement is restricted. Now, this is the coil which is used for TMS. As you can see, there are various coils available, okay? This is a typical figure of 8 coil, okay? This is the oil-cooled one. If I had to mention it, this is a B65 coil, okay, which we use for the treatment. This usually sits over here, okay? And this stand is mobile, so that once we decide what is the exact location where it has to be placed, so that it can be placed in that particular area and then it can be locked, so that you do not have to keep on holding the coil during the entire treatment process. This is one more coil which has the advantage of being lightweight, okay, which can be easily manipulated. We use it for detecting the motor threshold initially. So before starting the treatment per se, we usually do a protocol evaluation, okay, we do a complete psychiatric assessment. And if the person requires TMS, then we go ahead with TMS. Of course, consent is one thing which has to be taken, but the most important thing is assessment for any risk, particularly risk for seizures. So we have a protocol, we have a pre-treatment assessment which we consider, and once everything is fine, there are no contraindications for a person to go ahead with TMS treatment, then we start the treatment process. There are certain protocols which we follow. Protocol for TMS, what we follow is US FDA approved. Apart from the protocol, the manufacturer of TMS machines, including coil, they have also got US FDA approval. The manufacturer what we use is MagVenture. MagVenture is US FDA approved. So now I'll be providing a demonstration with a virtual patient. So this is how the client is made to sit on the couch, and we can adjust it according to their comfort level. Okay, so I'll be adjusting the seat. Let me know if it's comfortable. Okay. So you can recline it, you have the provision to lift the leg. We assume that a detailed evaluation, psychiatric evaluation has been done, the protocol has been followed, and then subsequently we are moving ahead with the treatment per se. This is the cap which we'll be choosing so that we can do the relevant markings, and the same cap can be used for the subsequent sessions so that we do not have to keep on marking on each and every session. So you can put it from the front in such a way that it's in the midline. You have a marking over here, so that is exactly where it should correspond to the midline, and you can follow a particular standard. You place the cap just above the eyebrows. Okay, it has to be ensured that the cap is placed in that particular position during the rest of the treatment sessions, and the cap is firmly placed over the client's scalp. So we do have the option of writing the patient's initials or name over here and along with other details including motor threshold. Once this has been done, our next task is finding the motor threshold. So before finding the motor threshold, there are certain measurements which we need to make. First and foremost, we need to find the CZ region. So this is the measuring tape what we use. First and foremost, we try to find out the distance between the nasion and the inion. Nasion is this part at the root of the nasal bridge and inion is the lowest point on the occipital protuberance. So you can have a marker pen so that you can mark. So now I'll be measuring the distance from nasion to inion. Okay, so here is somewhere here lies the inion. So it's 36 centimeters. Okay, so at the midpoint, that is 18 centimeter, I make a mark over here. Okay, you can extend the line. Okay, you can make a mark. The next is distance from tragus to tragus. Just a minute. Okay, you can see the tragus over here. It's 38 centimeters. Half of it is 19 centimeters. So I make a mark over here. So the intersection of these 2 points, the intersection of the distance between nasion to inion and from tragus to tragus, the intersection what you get, that is CZ. It corresponds to the CZ position of 1020 system of electrode placement. For the sake of identification, you can write the patient's ID, be it the patient's initials or number, whatever it is. Okay, and just mark it as R. Okay. So now we have marked this particular point, which is CZ. Next task is to find out where the motor threshold or motor hotspot is. For this, we will be using this coil, which is portable. Okay, so it's a pretty handy coil. It's a typical figure of 8 coil, which we'll be using. So you can select the intensity arbitrarily somewhere around, let's say 50 or 60. Okay, since we have a client who is healthy adult without any contraindication for TMS, we can start from 50. So we can tell the client that what we'll be doing. Okay, we can just tell them that we'll be giving stimulus over here and what they can expect so that they do not panic. So typically a stimulus, this is the kind of sound which you'll get. Okay, and it's not going to be painful. Okay, it could be a gentle tap kind of thing, and if it's distressing, please let me know. Okay. So typically the motor hotspot is found somewhere 5 centimeters lateral to the CZ point. It may vary, it may be a little bit anterior, it may be posterior, it may be a little bit more further to the lateral, but typically that is where you find out. Okay, so what you can do is that you can place the coil roughly about 5 centimeter lateral to the CZ. Okay, tell the patient to keep their arms on the armrest. Can you put on your arms over here? Even that also, a little bit further. So for motor threshold, there's one more option where you can put the electromyogram on the right thumb so that you can see the activity of abductor pollicis longus. Okay, so we don't have that over here. So we'll be observing for the twitch in the right hand, preferably the right thumb. Okay. So I'll be giving the twitch. Okay, let me know if it's uncomfortable. So as I told you, 5 centimeter to the left of CZ. Now I'll start at intensity somewhere around 50. This is something which is arbitrarily selected. So when you give the twitch, you need to observe the right hand for any movements. Okay. So once you are not able to find out at that location, you can move around. Okay, you can move around. So I'll just move it a little bit to the lateral. Yeah, now we can see there's a small twitch. Okay. Okay. So pretty consistently we are finding the twitch. Make sure that the stimulus is not given in quick succession. There has to be a time lag between 2 stimulus. Okay, so this is where the motor hotspot is. I'll make a marking over here so that I do not lose it. we have found out the motor hotspot. Now, motor threshold is the minimal possible intensity at which you find a twitch. There is a certain protocol which dictates that out of 10 twitches, at least out of 10 stimulus, there has to be at least 5 responses. So let's find out her motor threshold. Okay. So she is definitely responding at 50. Let's decrease it to 45 and see. Okay, so at 45 we are not seeing a response. I'll go with 48. So with 48, you will find very faint twitch, okay, and that too, it's not very consistent. Go back to 50. Okay, we see a small faint twitch in the right thumb. Okay, so out of 10 stimulus, we found a response in at least more than 5 stimulus. So 50 is going to be her motor threshold. So just we do not lose track of it, okay, I just mark it as 50 over here. So now that we have found out the motor hotspot and the motor threshold, next task is placement of the call. So the placement of the call depends on what protocol you use and the nature of the MS. Let's go ahead with placement over the left DLPFC, left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, which is the commonly stimulated site for depression. Now there are various methods for finding out for localization of left DLPFC. What we'll be using the 5 centimeter method, okay, where once you found the motor hotspot, you need to go ahead 5 centimeter anterior to this spot in the parasagittal line. Okay. 5 centimeter anterior to this in the parasagittal line. This is where you'll be having the marking for left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Similarly, just in case if you have to do it on the right side, this is going to be the mirror image of this point, or you can find out motor threshold on the right side and then subsequently move further ahead by 5 centimeter. Now we have found out the motor threshold, the motor hotspot, the motor threshold which is 50% in this present client's case. We have marked the left DLPFC, and now we'll go ahead with the position of the coil. So we change the coil over here. We switch from the probe to the treatment coil. So this is a treatment coil which we use. Okay. So make sure that it is firmly fixed to the stand. Now what we have to do is that we need to stabilize the person's head and neck. Okay. Yeah. So now just to stabilize the person's head and neck, what we do is that we place this pillow. Okay. So is this comfortable? So then subsequently I inflate the pillow. So during the process of treatment, the person is free to move around with a little bit with the hands, legs and all those things. The person can also talk, but it's advised not to move head and neck. I'll place the coil over the marking of left DLPFC. A couple of things which you need to consider is that the intensity of the magnetic pulses are maximum at the center of the coil. So it's very important that when we place the coil, this particular center of the coil has to be touching the person's scalp. So it should be touching in such a way that it is not causing too much of pressure, nor it's too loose. Okay. So this is the center of the coil. So you can move around this lever. So some people usually say that it has to be angled at 45 degrees. Okay, if you want, you can follow that. Once the coil is placed, you can tighten it. This is one precaution where you have to take. Make sure that the center part of the coil is in touch with the person's scalp. Okay, this appears to be good enough. Now that we have placed the coil, okay, we are good to go ahead with the treatment. We have placed the coil. Okay, let's set the parameter. So if you see this stimulator, you will find a screen over here. In this pane, there are various parameters, there are various keys which you find over here. Let's say this knob, it's for selection, okay? These are the arrow keys. And here, there are certain buttons, okay? So, these are navigation menus where you can go to the main menu, configuration menu, protocol menu. Okay? So, this is something which tends to set the intensity. So before setting intensity, this is the button where you can enable the call. So, you do have the option of enabling and disabling the call. Okay? So, for the sake of setting intensity, this knob is used. Now, coming to protocol, there are various protocols which have been used. I'll just demonstrate one particular protocol. If you see the screen over here, there are a set of parameters. Timing control, repetition rate, which is nothing but the frequency, pulses in train, number of trains, intertrain interval, okay, and then a couple of other options like option of ramp up of trains and warning sound. Okay, so this is where you can set the intensity frequency, okay, starting from as low as 0.1 hertz or 0.1 pulses per second to all the way up to 30 pulses per second. Let's set it to somewhere around 10 pulses per second. So that is 10 hertz. Next, you have to select pulses in train. Okay, so each and protocol what we choose is based on the previous level of evidence what we had. So let me choose pulses in train to somewhere around 40. Okay, then next you can choose number of trains. So let me keep it at 75. Okay, then intertrain interval, the interval between two trains. Okay, I'll set it as 11 seconds. So this particular protocol what I'm using, where the repetition rate or frequency is 10 pulses per second or 10 hertz, the pulses in train is 40, okay, and the number of trains is 75 and intertrain interval is 11. This is the US FDA approved protocol for depression. Okay, so once we select the parameters, next what we do is that we tend to enable the coil. Okay, now the coil is enabled, and based on the prefixed intensity, the motor threshold what we get, usually the protocol dictates that it has to be 120% of the motor threshold. Now let's assume the motor threshold is somewhere around 50%. Okay, so 120% of 50% will be 60. So this is the treatment intensity what we use. Now I have set the intensity, I have set the protocol. Next thing is that I'll be starting the treatment. So this is how it is going to be. Once the treatment procedure has started, you can see the time elapsed, the total percentage of treatment which has been done, and the total duration of time. This particular protocol what I'm using, it delivers a total of 300 pulses per session, and the treatment session lasts for about 19 minutes. In between the process, let's say the person moves his or her head and you need to take a pause. You can pause it, you can pause the treatment, and subsequently once the setting has been done, you can again resume the treatment. So for time being, I'll stop it now. Apart from this, once you have set the protocol, you have set the parameters, there is also an option of saving the protocol, so that when the same patient comes to you for the subsequent sessions, you do not have to set the protocol each and every time. Okay? So we have that option. Okay, if you see over here, there are certain protocols which are already saved. So in this way, you can save the protocol and subsequently you can keep on using the same settings without entering the parameters each and every time.